its philosophy was based on the Balinese losmen, where you have a central service area where everything happens and some sleeping units. Unfortunately, I sort of only ended up with one sleeping unit and then rather lost interest in all the hard work it took to build it. So visitors now are confined to tents and verandas, but that's not my problem. I've got a bedroom. The house is in the foothills above Brunswick, and it was built in the early years of this century. I've been living in it for around about 12, 13 years. The floor level is pretty conventional. Flat piece carved out of the hill, 900 millimetres of sand and a concrete slab. That's all good. Everybody builds a house exactly like that. From there on, it differs a little bit. The basic plan is an octagonal large building, about 8 metres across, built of rammed earth pillars with a conical roof above it, all of which is now pretty interesting, and you'd never try it if you knew what you were doing in the first place. The rammed earth materials is simply that. It's simply earth, gravel of a consistency which is capable of receiving a little bit of cement and solidifying. An ancient technology which still works as well as it ever did. I built some forms rather than hire them because I knew it was not going to be a quick job. Each form's about 400 high, and they're stacked one on top of the other as the wall progresses, filled and rammed with rammed earth driven by an air compressor, up to about a height of either 6 or 7 forms. That's got steel inside it, which is not really necessary, but it's safety plus, and it gives you something to tie the roof down with. It's got a small amount of cement in it, about 2%, and it's hard. It's seriously hard. Many of the walls, including an adjacent shed, have been around now for 15, 18 years, and there's no signs of erosion, despite the fact that they're being fully exposed to winter weather. It appears to be permanent, and I would think, provided a roof's kept on that structure, it'll last pretty much forever. The cement ratio in the rammed earth increases in strength from 0 up to a couple of percent and then decreases. Now, commercial rammed earth uses about 10%, which is fairly close to commercial 20 MPa concrete. And the reason they do that is it's a safety play. They mix it with a bobcat. It's not particularly well mixed, and if you put enough cement in it, it'll probably stay there. But fretting is common, and that's an unfortunate thing because it's a great building material, but if it's not done properly, it gives you endless problems. Ours was mixed in a cement mixer, which is tedious, but does give you a very good mix, and the results speak for themselves. Strangely enough, it's not a particularly good insulating material. It's reasonable, but nothing wonderful. It's probably not as good as double brick, but would be maybe a little bit better than light frame construction. But it has huge thermal mass, which acts in pretty much the same way. It takes a lot of heat to heat up the walls and hence penetrate into the inner sanctum, and similarly it takes a lot of cold from the outside to make the inside unpleasant. Despite the fact there's a great deal of glass in it, which should leak heat terribly, it doesn't. The temperature can be controlled with the use of a fire in the wintertime, and held between about 16 and 20 degrees with relatively little effort. It's very good there. In summer, it gets very unpleasant on about the 5th and 6th day of a heat wave, and stays unpleasant for a couple of days, but you don't get many heat waves, and we can live with that. When it was put up, the sides subject to erosion were given a chemical waterproofing treatment, which at the time appeared to do very little, although if you throw a glass of water at it, it sort of bounces off, it doesn't penetrate it. I haven't done it for some years. There doesn't appear to be any risk to the building. The material itself is slightly alkaline, which gives reasonable protection for the steel and that sort of thing. It shouldn't corrode inside the rammed earth, so that should be fairly assured. The white ants have had a couple of goes at me, but they haven't penetrated the rammed earth and can't. They find a channel on the side of a window or something else. Again, they can be fairly easily controlled with readily available chemical treatments. The structural integrity of it, as far as I can see, has not degraded in the slightest over the 15-18 years. Some paint finishes have. The woodwork, except for the doors, which are in imported timber, is lasting very well. The interior woodwork is pristine. I see no reason why it shouldn't be there in 100 years.
Would you build another rammed earth building?
Probably if I knew what I was doing, not at the time that I did build it. But I don't regret building it, so there's a massive contradictions in there. It's a wonderful place to live. The location is good, the building works very, very well. It's there. Living in a high-rise apartment or even a suburban house doesn't seem to be a superior option to me right this moment.